Before Amara ever met Deo, she was known as the life of the party. From Surulere to Lekki, her name rang among the social circles of Lagos nightlife. She was beautiful, bold, and stylish, never one to blend in. She loved the thrill of getting dressed up in the latest fashion, spending hours on makeup, wearing heels that made heads turn, and stepping into lounges and clubs like she owned them. Her Instagram page was filled with pictures of exotic cocktails, nightclub VIP sections, and beach house hangouts with the big boys and girls. The kind of people who always had access to money, fast cars, and endless connections. She was friends with DJs, artists, hype men, and even club owners. And she loved it. To her, the night wasn't just for sleeping, it was for living. She told herself, "I'm still young. I'll settle down when I'm 30. For now, let me enjoy." But deep down, sometimes, after returning home at 4 a.m. and removing her lashes, she would stare into the mirror and ask herself, "Is this all there is?" Still, she didn't stop, not until Uche went missing. The turning point. Uche was her closest friend. They had been inseparable since school days. Uche was the wild one between them. Always daring, always chasing the next thrill. But she had a good heart. They had been out together on a Friday night at a rooftop party in Ikoyi. Uche had met a man, well-dressed, smooth-talking, said he was into oil and gas. He offered to drop her off after the party, said his house wasn't far. Amara had warned her, "Babe, are you sure you know this guy so well? Wait, let me book a Bolt for you." But Uche waved her off, laughing. "I'm a big girl, I am all right." That was the last time Amara saw her alive. When Uche didn't answer her phone the next morning, Amara assumed she was hungover. But by the third day, panic set in. She called everyone, checked hospitals, posted on social media. The police were slow to respond, and it took almost a week before a body was found dumped near a bush in Aja. The news shattered Amara. The same dress Uche wore that night was still on her body. Her phone was gone. Her face looked like it had been beaten. It was clear Uche had followed the wrong man home. The shift. Amara fell into depression for weeks. She deleted all her pictures from Instagram. She stopped going out. She couldn't stand the sight of loud music or bright lights. Her former friends said she was overreacting or letting fear kill her shine. But she didn't care. Something inside her had changed. She started attending therapy, just to make sense of the loss. There, she realized that her lifestyle had numbed her to many dangers, and Uche's death was a wake-up call. She didn't want to end up as a cautionary tale. She began rebuilding herself slowly, started taking her fashion brand more seriously, focused on designing unique pieces for high-end clients, stopped entertaining fake friends. She unfollowed the clout chasers and took a break from nightlife. But the change wasn't easy. Some nights, she'd stare at her phone and feel tempted to text someone and just step out for one drink. Other times, the loneliness would creep in, and she'd wonder if she had made the right decision. Can I really be this woman? She often asked herself. It was in that phase of silent growth, where she was between who she used to be and who she wanted to become, that she met Deo. When paths cross. The wedding in Lekki wasn't supposed to be anything special. She had almost canceled. But the bride, her cousin, insisted she come. Deo stood out immediately, not because he was flashy, but because he wasn't. While other men were busy popping champagne and looking for who to impress, Deo sat in his neatly tailored native attire, talking to elders and sipping bottled water like he had nothing to prove. Amara felt curious. Maybe it was the way he looked at her without that usual "you're sexy" gaze. Maybe it was because he didn't even recognize her from social media. Whatever it was, she walked up to him. And from that moment on, her healing took a new turn, not just emotional but spiritual. Deo didn't try to change her. He respected her past but gently showed her a different kind of life. A life where peace didn't come from nightlife but from intentional love. From early morning prayers. From cooking together. From dreaming together. From silent evenings where words weren't needed. For Amara, that kind of love was louder than any music she had danced to in the club. Amara never expected that love could be this quiet. She had known passion that came with flashy gifts and wild declarations, relationships built on noise and drama. But with Deo, things were different. He didn't need to raise his voice to be heard. He didn't chase her with promises he couldn't keep. He simply showed up, consistently, intentionally, gently. At first, it felt strange. The calm was unfamiliar. When they started dating seriously, Deo never judged her past. In fact, he never even brought it up unless she did. But Amara noticed something. He didn't complain about her not going out as much anymore. He didn't try to cage her. He simply gave her something better than what the nightlife offered. Attention, warmth, and real companionship. His love was like water on a dry leaf, slowly reviving her, softening her. She found herself changing, not because he forced her, but because she wanted to. His little surprises. One Friday evening, after work, Deo called her and said, "Pack something nice. We're going out tomorrow." Her heart skipped. Where to? It's a surprise. The next day, he took her to a serene resort in Ape. The place was peaceful, overlooking a quiet lake, flowers everywhere, hammocks tied between trees, soft music playing in the background. It was far from the loud Lagos clubs she used to know. They spent the day talking, walking barefoot on grass, feeding fish, and lying under a cabana as the sun set. At some point, Amara laid her head on his lap and whispered, "I didn't know this kind of peace existed. Feels clean." Deo smiled, gently running his hand through her hair. Peace is where love lives. That was the first of many quiet weekend escapes. Every month, Deo would plan something new. A private paint and sip evening, dinner at a rooftop restaurant with jazz music, an art exhibition, or even just a romantic movie night in their living room with scented candles and matching pajamas. Each time, Amara fell deeper in love with him. And more importantly, she fell in love with the new version of herself. She started posting less online, not because she was hiding, but because she was content. Her peace no longer needed an audience. The plan. Deo had been watching her closely. He saw the changes. The way she started spending more time with his nieces and nephews, the way she helped his mom prepare Sunday meals, the way she started talking about the future in we instead of I. He knew she was the one. Quietly, he began planning the proposal. But he wanted it to be perfect. Not loud, not public, but deeply personal and intimate, just like their love story. He spoke with her mother, got the blessings from both families, and chose the one place that had become sacred to both of them, the Ape Resort. The proposal. On their one-year anniversary, Deo told her, "Let's go back to where we first saw peace." She knew immediately Ape. This time, the staff had been briefed. Deo had arranged everything. A private table near the lake, fairy lights, soft background music, and a custom meal with her favorite wine. They laughed, danced barefoot under the stars, and shared stories they'd never told anyone before. Then, as the night deepened, Deo stood up, held her hands, and knelt. He looked into her eyes, voice steady but thick with emotion. "Amara, you are proof that people can change when love is real. I didn't come into your life to tame you. I came to walk beside you while you grew into the woman you were always meant to be. Will you walk beside me forever?" Tears streamed down Amara's face. She didn't scream. She didn't shout. She just nodded and whispered, "Yes, 1,000 times, yes." He slid the ring on her finger, and they held each other in silence, hearts beating together like the gentle rhythm of the lake behind them, redefining the night. Months later, after their engagement, someone asked Amara at a bridal shower, "Do you miss the old you? The parties, the clubbing, the wild nights?" She smiled softly and replied, "I don't miss the night, because now I have the kind of love that makes every evening feel like dawn." And that was the truth. She hadn't lost herself. She had simply found a better version of herself. One that danced not under strobe lights, but under moonlight, in the arms of a man who taught her that still waters run deep. As sophisticated as Amara looked, and as trendy as her fashion sense was, there were few things that excited her more than catfish barbecue and suya. Every evening when Deo was on his way home from work, without fail, she would call him, not to complain or nag, but to say the same thing in that sweet, teasing voice he had come to love. "Baby, If you truly love me, you already know what to buy. Oh, catfish, hot and fresh, with that pepper sauce, and suya from that your man at Ikate. First, Deo had laughed, thinking it was just a phase. But after months, he realized this was Amara's love language, thoughtfulness through small but meaningful gestures. And he never forgot. Even on days when he was exhausted, stuck in traffic on 3rd Mainland Bridge or dealing with stressful deadlines, he'd still branch at the suya spot near the estate gate, where the vendor already knew his order. "Is your madam at home?" the man would ask, grinning. "She's waiting," Deo would reply with a proud smile. When he got home and handed the takeout bag to her, Amara's eyes would light up like a child on Christmas morning. "Ah, you know I love you, right?" she'd say, already digging into the fish with bare fingers, forgetting she was wearing a silk dress. Then she'd feed him 1 or 2 bites and curl up beside him like a baby, mumbling, "This is why I'm marrying you." Deo loved that. How the simplest things could bring her so much joy. He had dated women in the past who wanted things he couldn't always afford. But Amara? A spicy catfish and her favorite Netflix series. And she was over the moon. That's when he knew she wasn't just his woman. She was his piece. The wedding they didn't see coming. When Deo and Amara announced their wedding date, the buzz spread quickly. Not just among friends and family, but in the entire Lagos social circle. People were shocked. Some were even shaking their heads in disbelief. Amara? That party girl. Wait. She calm down and marry a responsible man? How did she pull that one off? Many of the same girls who had once partied with her, posted half-naked pictures online, or competed for the attention of big boys, were now watching from the sidelines as Amara prepared for the most elegant wedding of the year. The wedding was held at a stunning beachfront venue in Alash. Intimate, classy, no noise, no overcrowding, just carefully curated elegance. White flowers, gold accents, live music from a soul band. Her dress, custom designed by a top Lagos designer, was graceful, nothing too revealing, yet every bit stunning. She wore her hair in soft waves, with a crystal hairpiece, her makeup natural and glowing. When she walked down the aisle on her mother's arm, there was a collective gasp. Even the ladies who once whispered about her had no choice but to admire. And when Deo looked at her, everyone could feel the love in his eyes. Real, calm, deep. His vows were simple yet powerful. "You brought fire into my quiet life, and I brought peace into your wild one. Together, we've become something balanced and beautiful." When Amara said hers, she choked back tears. "Thank you for not judging who I was, and for helping me become who I was always meant to be. I thought I knew love before, but now I know peace, and I don't want to ever lose it." What they didn't know, what many of those whispering ladies didn't realize, was that Amara's glow wasn't just from makeup or a designer gown. It was from growth, from healing, from walking away from empty nights and choosing a love that lit her from the inside out. And while they watched, some with envy and others with admiration, Amara wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. She had outgrown the need for validation. After the wedding, one of her old friends messaged her, "Babe, I'm so happy for you.
Honestly, I'm jealous."
How did you do it?" Amara replied simply, "I stopped chasing moments and started choosing someone who made every moment matter. Love, laughter, and suya." Months after the wedding, nothing really changed about their routine. Deo still bought her catfish and suya. Amara still lit up every time like it was her first time tasting it. And every now and then, they would invite a few close friends over, play old-school music, sip wine, and laugh about the days of wild outings and loud clubs. Amara would say, "Those days were sweet, but this is sweeter." And Deo, holding her hand, would whisper, "I know." When the smell turns started on a quiet Tuesday evening. As usual, Amara had called Deo around 6:45 p.m., just before he left the office. "Baby, please, stop by and get that spicy catfish for me. With suya too. Extra pepper. Hope you heard." Deo chuckled. "It's that how you shout? If you love me, bring fish. Now you're not even begging again. Because you're mine now." she teased, laughing. As always, he made the usual stop and brought it home, still warm and fragrant. The moment he stepped into the house, the familiar greeting followed. Bring it fast, fast. My stomach has been shouting since morning. He unwrapped the foil and handed it to her. But this time, something shifted. She looked at the fish with wide eyes, her nose twitching. Then she covered her mouth and jumped up. Oh my God! What is this smell? Is this even fish? She ran to the kitchen sink and started gagging. Deo stood confused. But it's the same place now. Same guy that always roasts it. Amara turned, fanning herself dramatically. It smells rotten. Like gutter. You bought it from the same place. Baby, I'm sorry. I can't even stand the sight of it. He was stunned. The same Amara that used to pick bones clean? That used to lick pepper from her fingers and beg for extra catfish sauce? He laughed lightly. Are you joking with me or something? Just try. Deo, please take it away. Before I throw up on your shoe. He did as she said, but he thought it was a one-time thing. Until it happened again, and again, and again. Everything changed. Every evening she'd still ask him to buy fish. And every time he brought it home, she'd recoil like it was poison. After the fourth incident, he raised an eyebrow. Are you pranking me, or you've just joined the I'm now married, so I hate what I used to love club? She sighed, half laughing, half irritated. I don't know what's wrong with me, honestly. Everything smells bad. Even my own perfume. The one you bought for my birthday, the Versace one. I sprayed it yesterday and almost fainted. I had to wash my whole body. Babe, my own perfume. Deo was truly concerned now. He began to observe other things. She wasn't eating as much. She was tired all the time. She no longer wore makeup like before. Her breasts were suddenly tender. And she cried over everything. Even an Instagram reel of a baby goat made her emotional. He finally asked one day, while she was sprawled across the couch nibbling dry crackers, Amara, are you sure you're not pregnant? She blinked, paused, then sat up slowly. No. I can't be. I don't think. Wait, my last period. Her eyes widened. She ran to the bedroom, searching her period tracking app. Silence filled the room. Moments later, her voice echoed faintly from inside the bathroom. Deo, I think we need to get a test. Chapter 13, 2 lines. The next morning, they did 2 different pregnancy tests. Both showed 2 bold red lines. Amara stared at them like they were magic spells. So this is why I've been acting like a confused woman. My own catfish turned against me. Suya betrayed me. She laughed, then cried, then laughed again. Deo knelt beside her and gently placed a hand on her stomach. So, this is why my wife has turned me to fish delivery boy only to insult the fish. They both laughed hard that morning, harder than they had in weeks. Food becomes war. Now that they knew the truth, things didn't get easier. In fact, the real struggle began. Amara didn't want to eat anything. Everything tasted like paper. Even jollof rice, the food that had never failed her, smelled like diesel to her. Deo would try everything. Toast, fried yam, golden morn, pepper soup, even cold cereal. She rejected all. Some nights, he would sit beside her with a spoon, literally begging her. Baby, please, just 2 spoons. For me. For the baby. If not, I'll cry here. She would pout like a stubborn child and open her mouth. They both turned mealtime into a comedy show just to get her to eat. Once, he made umla and yudu, which she normally hated, out of desperation. She sniffed it, shrugged and said, it's not bad. Serve full plate. He screamed in joy like Nigeria just won the World Cup. That became her new craving. A taste of forever. As the pregnancy progressed, her food cravings changed weekly. Her moods danced like the wind, and Deo adapted without complaining. The catfish she once loved still remained her biggest enemy, but her love for Deo, that only grew. One night, months later, as he massaged her swollen feet while she munched on Puff Puff, she looked at him and whispered, I never thought a man would love me like this, even when I'm unreasonable, even when I change like weather. Thank you, Deo. He kissed her forehead, smiling. You changed for me once. Now it's my turn to change for you. A craving without a name. It was a warm Thursday afternoon. Amara had been home alone all day. The house was quiet, yet her body felt like it was on fire. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and nothing on TV could hold her attention. She paced the living room in her oversized t-shirt, her baby bump beginning to show. Every inch of her body felt unsettled, as though something was missing, something she needed, but she didn't know what. Ugh, I'm going mad in this house, she muttered to herself. She tried chewing ice cubes. Didn't work. She sniffed her old perfume. Big mistake. She nearly puked. She opened her fridge, hoping something would jump at her. Nothing did. Then, something strange happened. A faint, smoky, rubbery smell drifted into the compound through the window. It was distant, but distinct. Something about it called to her, almost like it was whispering, "Come closer." With no hesitation, she slipped her feet into slippers and walked out of the house. She followed the smell like a hunter chasing invisible prey, her pregnant instincts suddenly sharper than ever. Vulcanizer Chronicles. Just a few blocks away, she found the source. A vulcanizer was heating up a rubber tube over a coal fire at the side of the road. He had a small wooden bench, his tools spread around, and a blackened kettle hissing steam in the corner. The smell of burning rubber, heated tires, and engine grease surrounded the entire space. To anyone else, it would be offensive. But to Amara, it was paradise. She slowly walked closer, her nose in the air, breathing deeply like she'd found fresh roses. "Auntie, good afternoon," the vulcanizer said with surprise. "Hope no problem?" "No problemo," she said dreamily, smiling. I love the smell. It's so nice." The man looked confused but nodded. She sat on an old bench beside his work table and just watched him. For hours. Occasionally she'd close her eyes and take deep breaths. He offered her water. She declined. She was too happy inhaling rubber and tire fumes to care about anything else. Deo's confusion. By 6:30 p.m., Deo was on his way home from work. As always, he called her. No response. He tried again. Still no answer. Now he was worried. She always picked on the first or second ring. He began imagining scenarios. What if she fainted? What if she fell in the bathroom? Just then, his phone rang. It was Amara. "Babe," she said calmly. "I'm not at home. I'm around the block. Just check by the vulcanizer's shed close to the corner." Deo blinked. "Vulcan, what? What are you doing there?" "Just come." He parked the car roughly and hurried down the street, heart pounding. And there she was, sitting beside a baffled vulcanizer, her legs crossed, her nose in the air, smiling like she just won a trip to Dubai. "Amara, what in God's name are you doing here?" She stood up, irritated by his tone. "What is it?" "I was craving this smell. You won't understand. Don't shout at me, please. Let's go home." The vulcanizer, still stunned, watched them walk away like a couple from a strange movie. The explanation. When they got home, Deo closed the door gently and turned to her. "My love, please, explain this madness to me, because I've seen a lot, but today, this one passed me." Amara plopped on the sofa, already tired of standing. "Babe, I don't know what's going on with me. I was restless. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then I caught the smell of tires. It was so soothing, like something inside me just calmed down. I don't know why, I just wanted to stay there. Felt right?" Deo sat beside her, speechless. She looked at him, eyes wide. "Don't judge me. It's the pregnancy, I googled it, some women crave chalk, some crave clay. I saw one woman who chews sponge." He raised his hands in surrender. "No judgment. I didn't expect to lose my wife to tire fumes." They both burst into laughter. "So now you know," she said, giggling. "If you love me, bring rubber tires. Let me smell. I'm not a vulcanizer, please." They both laugh. The next day, Deo left for work with a new mission in mind. He had spent half the night thinking about the previous day. His pregnant wife, sitting with a vulcanizer, inhaling tire fumes like perfume, smiling like she had discovered heaven on earth. He wasn't angry, just amused and deeply touched. She was carrying their child. Her body was going through changes she didn't even understand. And if the smell of rubber made her feel better, then he was going to do what any loving husband would do. Get her a tire. But not just any tire, a brand new motorcycle tire. One small enough to carry, clean enough to keep at home, and thick enough to smell just like she wanted. The tire delivery. On his way home from work that evening, Deo branched off at a local auto spare parts shop. The seller looked at him, puzzled. "Sir, which bike are you repairing?" "No bike," Deo replied with a smile. "It's for my wife." The man blinked. "Your wife rides motorcycles?" "No, oh, she likes the smell." The seller didn't ask further questions. Lagos had shown him stranger things. Deo picked the freshest, most rubbery-smelling tire available, paid cash, and gently placed it in his car boot. As he drove home, he kept chuckling to himself. What will love not make a man do? The surprise. When he got home, Amara was already sitting on the couch, adjusting her top, watching a pregnancy vlog with a bored face. The moment she saw him walk in, she smiled weakly. "Baby, I didn't smell tire today. My day was boring." He grinned, trying to hold back his excitement. "Really? So, would you like some tire with your evening?" She raised her brow. "What?" He walked to the door, opened it dramatically like a magician revealing a trick, and rolled in the shiny black motorcycle tire. "Tada! For madam." Amara froze. Her mouth fell open. "Wah, Deo, you're joking." "Nope. Brand new. Straight from the shop. No coal dust, no sand, fresh rubber smell. I figured if you love it that much, then you should have it all to yourself." Tears instantly welled up in her eyes. Her hands trembled as she stood up. You bought a tire. For me. Just because I said I liked the smell." He walked closer and gently placed the tire in front of her like a crown offering. "I can't carry the pregnancy for you. I can't feel what you're feeling. But if a rubber tire makes your day easier, then I'll bring you tires every week if I have to." She burst into tears, not loud sobs, just quiet, overwhelmed weeping, the kind that comes when someone realizes how deeply they are loved. "Deo, this is the most ridiculous, sweet, thoughtful thing anyone has ever done for me. I don't even know what to say." He pulled her into a gentle hug, rubbing her back. "You don't need to say anything. I see it in your eyes." She sniffed, then pulled back and said with a smile, "Please get me a knife. I want to cut it little by little and keep it beside my pillow." They both laughed. The tire on the table. That night, the living room looked like a mini vulcanizing shop. Amara placed a piece of the tire on a clean plate, right beside her on the coffee table, and took gentle whiffs every now and then like someone enjoying a luxury-scented candle. "You see this baby in my belly?" she whispered to Deo. "They're coming into a home where love is not by words, but by actions." Deo smiled and kissed her forehead. "And into a home where tire is now perfume." They both laughed again. When love smells like rubber, love doesn't always come with roses. Sometimes it comes with burning rubber, motorcycle tires, and small acts of kindness that speak louder than gifts ever could. And that night, as Amara drifted off to sleep with the faint smell of tire filling the room, she smiled, knowing one thing for sure: this man truly, deeply, ridiculously loves me. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories.